What happens when the people you've counted on your entire life slowly begin to count on themselves more than they count on you? Picture this moment that millions of us face in silence. You're sitting at your kitchen table on a Tuesday morning, and you realize your phone hasn't rung in 3 days. Your children are consumed with their own busy lives. Your siblings are dealing with their own aging challenges, and the friends you once called are either too far away or no longer here. It's not anyone's fault, but there you are, feeling the weight of a truth that nobody talks about openly. The family support system that carried you through decades of life is quietly shifting, and you're left wondering who you can truly depend on now. Here's what no one wants to admit about getting older. The harsh reality is that as we age, we cannot rely on others the way we once did, even the people who love us most. But what I'm about to share with you will change how you think about independence and peace of mind after 70. There are 5 specific pillars of support that you can build and control completely. Pillars that will never let you down because they come from within your own power and choices. These aren't just ideas. They're practical foundations that can transform your daily experience from uncertainty to unshakable confidence. Number 1. The reality of diminished family support in old age. There comes a moment when you realize the phone calls are getting shorter and the visits are getting rarer. Your daughter rushes through conversations because the kids need dinner. Your son lives 3 states away and can barely manage his own life. Your closest sister just moved into assisted living herself. This isn't abandonment. This is life moving forward while you're standing still, watching the people who once formed your safety net become tangled up in their own struggles. The truth hits you on a quiet Sunday afternoon when you used to expect someone to drop by, and now you'd be surprised if anyone did. You raised children, you cared for aging parents, you were the one people called when they needed help. But somewhere along the way, the roles shifted without anyone announcing it. Your children became the busy ones, your siblings became the ones needing care, and you became the one waiting for the phone to ring. Here's what no one tells you about this transition. It's not a failure on anyone's part. It's simply the natural progression of life, and fighting against it only brings heartache. The real power lies in recognizing that this shift is actually an invitation. An invitation to discover that the strongest support system you'll ever have isn't the one that surrounds you, but the one you build within yourself. When external support becomes unpredictable, internal support becomes your greatest gift to yourself. Number 2, physical mobility as foundational support. Your body becomes your most faithful companion when everyone else gets busy with their own lives. Every morning when you swing your legs out of bed and plant your feet firmly on the floor, you're making a declaration of independence that no one else can make for you. The ability to walk to your kitchen, to reach for what you need, to move through your day without asking for help. This is freedom in its purest form. But here's what happens when mobility starts slipping away. Suddenly, simple tasks become mountains to climb. Getting dressed becomes a struggle. Walking to the mailbox feels impossible. And with each small loss of movement, you lose a piece of your autonomy. The fear creeps in, that quiet terror of becoming dependent on others who may not always be available. The turning point comes when you realize that mobility isn't about being an athlete at 75. It's about honoring your body with gentle, consistent movement that keeps you in charge of your own life. A 10-minute walk around your house counts. Stretching your arms above your head while sitting in your chair matters. Using a walking stick isn't giving up, it's being smart. Harold figured this out at 78. He walks every single day with his wooden cane, not because he has to, but because he chooses to. That daily walk gives him something no family member can provide. It gives him the confidence that he can still take care of himself. Number 3, simplicity and control in finances. Money anxiety at our age isn't about wanting to be rich. It's about lying awake at 3 in the morning wondering if you have enough to last, wondering if you understand where your money is going, wondering if you're one emergency away from becoming a burden. Financial confusion creates a special kind of helplessness that eats away at your peace of mind day after day. The complexity of modern finances can make you feel like you need a degree just to understand your own bank statement. Credit cards with different interest rates, investment accounts you're not sure about, subscriptions you forgot you had, bills that seem to change every month. It's exhausting, and when you're tired of trying to figure it all out, you start avoiding it altogether. That avoidance only makes the anxiety worse. But here's where simplicity becomes your lifeline. Lorraine discovered this at 74, after her husband passed, and she inherited a financial mess she didn't understand. Instead of drowning in complexity, she chose clarity. She downsized to a smaller place, canceled subscriptions she didn't use, consolidated her accounts, and started putting $20 a week into what she calls her Freedom Fund. These weren't dramatic changes, but they gave her something precious. They gave her the peace that comes from understanding exactly where she stands. When you can explain your finances to a friend in 5 minutes, you've found the kind of financial simplicity that lets you sleep soundly at night. Number 4, daily health routines as emotional anchors. Your morning routine becomes sacred when the world around you starts feeling unpredictable. There's something profoundly comforting about knowing that no matter what chaos might unfold during the day, you started it by taking care of yourself in the exact same way you did yesterday and the way you will tomorrow. This isn't about perfection. It's about showing up for yourself when no one else might. Frank understands this at 81. Every morning at 6 o'clock, he makes his tea the same way, does his gentle stretches in the same order, takes his medications with the same glass of water, and walks the same 30-minute route around his neighborhood. People might think this sounds boring, but Frank knows something they don't. This routine isn't limiting his life, it's anchoring it. When his arthritis flares up or the weather keeps him inside, he adapts. He does his stretches by his bedroom window, he walks up and down his hallway, he still makes his tea. The routine bends, but it doesn't break. The magic happens in your mind as much as your body. Each time you follow through on taking care of yourself, you're building evidence that you can be trusted, that you can be counted on, that you're worth the effort. When external support feels shaky, this internal reliability becomes your emotional bedrock. Your body stops being something that happens to you and becomes something you actively tend to with love and consistency. Number 5, small habits as self-sustained support. Making your bed might seem like the smallest thing in the world, but on the days when everything else feels overwhelming, that smooth blanket and arranged pillows become proof that you still have some control over your environment. These tiny acts of self-care create a foundation of order that holds you steady when bigger things start falling apart. The power isn't in the individual habits themselves, it's in what they represent. When you open your curtains each morning, you're choosing to let light into your day. When you wash your coffee cup instead of leaving it in the sink, you're treating your space with respect. When you put on real clothes instead of staying in your pajamas, you're telling yourself that you matter enough to show up fully for your own life. These small choices accumulate into something much larger than their individual parts. Think about it this way. If your day starts with you making your bed, opening your curtains, drinking a full glass of water, and putting on clothes that make you feel good about yourself, you've already succeeded at 4 things before most people have even had their first cup of coffee. These aren't just habits, they're daily votes for your own well-being. They're quiet declarations that you're worth caring for, especially when the world gets too busy to notice. In a life where so much can feel uncertain, these small acts of consistency become the steady heartbeat that keeps you grounded and strong. Number 6, emotional resilience for internal strength. Resilience isn't about pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's about feeling the full weight of your emotions, whether that's grief over loss, frustration with physical changes, or loneliness when the house feels too quiet, and still finding a way to keep moving forward with grace and dignity. This is perhaps the most crucial skill you can develop, because life after 70 will test your emotional strength in ways you never expected. Eileen learned this lesson the hard way after her husband of 47 years passed away. For months, she felt like she was drowning in silence. The house felt like a museum of memories, and she couldn't figure out how to live in it without him. Then she started lighting a candle every evening at 6 o'clock, not as a religious ritual, but as a way of acknowledging that she was still here, still present, still choosing to participate in life even when it felt impossibly difficult. That simple act became her anchor. The flame reminded her that grief and gratitude could exist in the same moment, that being alone didn't have to mean being defeated. She learned to speak to herself with the same kindness she'd once offered others. She discovered that resilience isn't about being unbreakable. It's about being able to bend without losing your essential self. When you develop this kind of inner strength, you realize that while you can't control what happens to you, you can control how you respond. And that control becomes a source of power that no external circumstance can take away from you. Number 7. Personal code of values as a life compass. After spending decades living primarily for other people, making decisions based on what your children needed, what your spouse wanted, what your parents expected, there comes a time when you need to remember who you are when no one else is watching. Your personal values become your compass when all the external guideposts start disappearing, and you're left to navigate by your own inner wisdom. Howard figured this out in his 80s when he realized he'd been drifting through his days without any clear sense of what mattered to him personally. So he sat down and wrote out 5 simple rules that would guide his daily choices. Be honest in all dealings. Treat food with respect and gratitude. Return everything you borrow. Forgive quickly and completely. Get enough sleep to face each day with clarity. These weren't grand philosophical statements, just practical principles that felt true to who he wanted to be. The difference in his daily experience was remarkable. Instead of feeling pulled in different directions by other people's expectations or society's pressures, he had his own internal guidance system. When faced with decisions, small or large, he could ask himself which choice aligned with his values and find his answer there. This gave him a sense of integrity and purpose that didn't depend on anyone else's approval or presence. Your values become the part of you that remains constant even when everything else changes, the core of who you are that nobody can touch or take away. Number 8. Inner support sources and mental adaptation. The most profound realization of later life might be this: the support system that never lets you down, never gets too busy, never moves away or passes on, is the one you cultivate within yourself. While friends and family members navigate their own challenges and changes, your inner resources remain available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, ready to sustain you through whatever comes. This isn't about becoming isolated or giving up on relationships with others. It's about recognizing that the strongest foundation for any life is built from internal resources that you control and nurture. Your daily habits, your personal values, your commitment to taking care of your body and mind, these become the pillars that hold up your sense of well-being regardless of what's happening around you. Mental adaptation plays a crucial role here too. The ability to stay curious, to learn new things, to adjust your expectations and approaches as circumstances change. This keeps your mind flexible and engaged. When you combine this mental agility with the stability of good habits and clear values, you create an internal environment that can weather any external storm. You discover that independence isn't about not needing anyone else. It's about having the inner strength to contribute to relationships from a place of wholeness rather than desperate need. Number 9. Personal reflection and challenge. The question isn't whether life will continue to change as you age. The question is whether you'll build the internal supports that can carry you through those changes with dignity, purpose, and peace. Right now, in this moment, you have the opportunity to look honestly at which of these 5 pillars you already have in place and which ones need your attention and care. Maybe you're already taking great care of your body, but your finances feel chaotic. Perhaps you have strong values, but your daily routines have gotten sloppy. Or it could be that you've mastered the practical elements, but your emotional resilience needs strengthening. There's no shame in any of this. There's only the opportunity to begin where you are with what you have right now. The truth is, the most reliable support system you'll ever have is the one you build within yourself, one small choice at a time, one day at a time. It starts with deciding that you're worth the effort of creating a life that doesn't depend on others being available or capable of taking care of you. It grows as you discover that taking care of yourself isn't selfish, it's essential. And it flourishes when you realize that the person you can always count on, no matter what, is the person looking back at you in the mirror. That person has already survived every difficult day they've ever faced. That person has everything they need to thrive in the years ahead. What we've shared today isn't just advice. It's a roadmap to reclaiming your peace of mind in a world that can sometimes feel like it's moving on without you. The truth is, while family relationships may shift and change, the 5 pillars we've explored today will never let you down because they come from within your own power to choose and act. Think about Lorraine finding financial peace through simplicity. Remember Frank's morning routine that anchors his entire day. Picture Eileen lighting her candle each evening, choosing presence over despair. These aren't extraordinary people. They're people just like you who decided that their well-being was worth the daily effort of building internal support systems that nobody could take away. When you tend to your body with gentle movement, when you simplify your finances until they make sense, when you create daily routines that honor your health, when you practice small habits that affirm your worth, and when you build emotional resilience through self-kindness, you're not just surviving the changes that come with age. You're thriving in spite of them. You're proving to yourself every single day that you are capable, valuable, and completely worthy of your own care and attention. The beauty of these 5 supports is that they grow stronger with practice. Each day you choose to invest in them, you're building a foundation that can weather any storm. You're creating a version of yourself that doesn't need to wait for the phone to ring or for someone else to show up. You become the person you can always count on. So let me ask you this. Which of these 5 pillars spoke to your heart today? Which one do you most need to strengthen in your own life? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, and if this message resonated with you, please share it with someone who might need to hear it too. Remember, growing older doesn't mean growing smaller. It means growing wiser, more intentional, and more beautifully independent. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll continue this journey of discovering just how strong and capable you really are.